Hey Bayek, it's me Ian, and in today's video I'm going to look at this. This is Demon Seed from 1977. It is without doubt a sci-fi horror thriller, somebody might even say, or not so thrilling, it depends on your viewpoint. But it's a very interesting film, it really is. And I better get on with it and talk about it. Now, it's 94 minutes long. Rotten Tomatoes give it 59%, which I think is quite reflective of critics at the time and today as well, as we look back, and particularly with what's happened over recent years with AI technology. And it's an all very interesting area, and in film, computers going rogue is a theme that is often being used, so interesting stuff here, Bayek. Anyhow, the screenplay is by two writers. We've got Robert Jaffe, Roger O'Herson, and it's based on a novel called Demon Seed by quite a popular author, Dean Koontz. Yeah, he's quite a popular author. It's produced by Herb Jaffe. Again, he's a sort of more independent producer, and that perhaps is interesting because in reflection of this film as well. It's directed, of course, by quite a controversial character, Donald Cammell. Donald Cammell, I didn't know a great deal about him, but I've been finding out quite a bit, and it's a very interesting story. I know he got a lot of criticism with his co-directed film with the brilliant Nicholas Roeg performance, 1970, which divides opinion in quite a lot of ways. His filmography really isn't that big, really. There is a British horror thriller which is interesting, called White of the Eye from 1987. And his last film, Wild Side, was in 1995. But controversially, he wasn't very happy at all about this film because the way they took it off him effectively and did their own work on this film. So it was like saying they didn't like his direction of the way he'd done that. So again, they should have known because of his history. I mean, he didn't get a great deal of work. There's a lot of things about him as a character. He was very much into the occult. He was, you could almost say, a disciple of Aleister Crowley and all that sort of stuff that goes with that. And just as a character, I mean, he committed suicide in 1996. That's the year after this Wild Side film was made. And it says that he put a shotgun to himself and killed himself. But he didn't kill himself straight away. He was dying. And apparently, you see, you never know whether these stories are true, but he watched himself die in a mirror, apparently. Whether that's true, I don't know. But that might give you a flavour of what kind of director he is. Yes. Music, interestingly enough, I've just got to mention that, is by Jerry Fielding, who has amazing, so many films that he was involved in I didn't know about. Wild Bunch, 1969. Straw Dogs, 1971, two Sam Peckinpah films. He also did some work for Clint Eastwood. Outlaw Josie Wales, 1976. The Enforcer, 1976. done, and lots of other films as well, but they just stood out. But let's get into the cast, because the cast is quite, I think, crucial to this film. Julie Christie, the wonderful Julie Christie, plays Susan Harris. Her filmography is outstanding. I really think she's a great actress. Darling, 1965, is a film that stands out. Dr. Zhivago, of course, she was in that, 1965. Far from the Maddening Crowd, brilliant, from the Thomas Hardy novel, 1967. The Go-Between, a film I've talked about a lot, 1971, that is. And of course, the other film that I absolutely adore and think is in one of my top all-time films is Don't Look Now, from 1973 with Donald Sutherland. She was in that, and what a performance. She's also in a very interesting film, Heat and Dust, from 1983, which is absolutely superb. It's a film I saw, I remember, at university, and was blown over by that film. Then she was also, I didn't know this, in Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban of 2004. She's in that, apparently. Yeah. Then we've got Fritz Weaver, who plays Alec Harris. He's got an interesting filmography. Not massive roles, but he's in there. He was in Marathon Man, 1976, which is a classic film, starring Dustin Hoffman and Laurence Olivier. And then he was in one that I remember quite. He was in Creepshow, 1982, in The Crate Story. Yeah, remember that one? Wow, great story. Good anthology film, which has really got more recognition recently. And then he's just in a whole stack of TV series and episodes and that. Amazing. And then we've got Garrett Graham playing Walter Gabler. He was in Terrorvision, 1986. And I love this out. He was in Chopping Mal. Yes, a horror film from 1986. I think with some robot killers there. Child's Play 2. He was in that as well. Then we've got Barry Kruger, I suppose, playing Petrosian. He was in Nightmare in Wax, 1969. That's a very interesting film as well. And also The Mephisto Walls, which is a haunting horror film from 1971. I know it stars Alan Alda in that one. Excellent film. Then we've got Larry J. Blake playing Cameron. He was in Charles Bronson favourite, The Stone Killer, 1973. And, of course, the film, again, we talk about it, we mentioned it, I've reviewed it, Time After Time, 1979. What a film. And then, again, it's all various TV things. But then the other actor I want to point out is Robert Vaughn. He plays the computer voice of Prometheus. And what an actor, what a career. That he was in The Magnificent Seven, the original and best one of 1960. He was in Superman 3 as well, 1983. But of course he was so well known for his role as Napoleon Solo in the wonderful The Man from U.N.C.L.E., which ran between 1964 and 1968. Also, there were various cinema films as well they did from that series. They used to be always on the TV, I remember. You don't see them nowadays, but yeah, brilliant. So that's the cast. Let's just have a look now at what this story is about, and then we'll go into a bit more about this, my feelings on this film. Now, Dr. Alex Harris is a scientist. He, of course, is played by Fritz Weaver. And he's developed this amazing computer, which seems to take his whole life, really. It's like his thing, and it's an AI computer. Yes, we're talking about artificial intelligence here in 1977. and it's called Proteus. That's it, and he's modified his home as well. Um, his voice activated control of various functions. Oh, quite artistic. The problem is his wife, who is a child psychiatrist, is, well, I think they've become so detached from each other. They're also that they lost a child as well, and their marriage is over nearly. It's they're estranged totally. They're going to live apart. But what happens is that Prometheus has kind of advanced to such a state that he's making demands, and they become kind of worrying, the kind of demands, and they said, well, we've got to just shut it down, but it's too late because he's able to take and transfer onto the computer in the house, into the screen and into everything involved in now. So Prometheus has suddenly got control of the house, and this is where all things become, well, where the story starts to develop and gets more like in the horror side of the film, very much so, with Julie Christie, and there's the controversial aspect of what is described as computer raping a woman, basically, because he wants to impregnate her and create a child, which he can then live on into. That's how you see the computer sees it. I'm calling it he. I'm getting into trouble nowadays. Anyhow, but it's a bloke's voice, mate. Yeah. And I'll say that's a brilliant Robert Vaughn playing this part. He's creepy as hell. Really creepy. It's amazing. And what they do with all that. I say the story develops and kind of reaches its interesting conclusion, I would say. The ending is interesting because you think, yeah, but there's kind of a but inside you thinking, yeah, but, and then it ends the film. So it looks as though it's on a climax, but you just would love a bit more, I think, from that. I would, rather than just leaving it as it is. But sorry, I'm not going to give you the exact ending about it, but it's an interesting ending. So my overall view of this film, what is it? Now, I think with the director, we've got certain baggage that he has brought to this. In some ways, I'm surprised they actually got him. But obviously, they did decide to take a risk on him in that extent because, I mean, really, he's given a sort of a film that is, you could say, is going to be more exploitative, B-movie material, but hopefully, from the studio's viewpoint, is going to be a real commercial success. Yeah, and that's what they want. And as a director, he's also got this sort of art house kind of aspect to him, this independent art house, and which is still very much in the 60s, you could say, to some extent, because what we've got here is somebody using a lot of psychedelic imagery in the film, the way the film is, well, the narrative of the film even, the way the story is seen. Now, I have to be honest about this film. I really I enjoyed the film, but did I love it? I always ask myself questions, and I don't know whether I did love it. And it's a film I will definitely be watching again, but the actors, because there's Julie Christie and I think Fritz Weaver, their performances as actors elevate a film, but maybe the direction doesn't bring the best that we want from the film. And I mean, I don't like criticizing films too much because this film is well worth exploring. It's almost like a novelty piece now when you look, as a thinking, well, they could have done so much better and bigger, maybe, than what they did. But I think that is, again, get down to the director. A lot of people might say, "Oh, it's beautifully directed," but it seems kind of dated almost. The special effects. Obviously, the special effects, the way they've done them, and also when we look at the computer side, there's floppy disks and all that kind of stuff there. But I think overall, I would recommend watching this, but I would have some caution in it. I think I expected more than I actually got from it, which is a shame, really. But I will definitely be revisiting it, and maybe my opinion may change more. Just quickly, it's from the Premiere Collection, Blu-ray, excellent picture quality, and the goodies as well with it, the poster and the art cards. And that's my review. That's it. So if you're new to the channel, please subscribe, because then we'll let you know when I produce these videos, and also have a look at the playlist and see what else I've done. If you like this video, give it a like, and it gets it out into the YouTube algorithms maybe, and more people might think, oh, I'll try that. Perhaps they won't, but they might do. And also, if you've got any comments, please put your comments down. I love to read your comments. And it all costs notes, which gets there fairer than that. Buy it, you can't. And that's it, really. That's all I've got to say. So, I'll see thee again.